Hey everyone, Kyle here. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain a little bit. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.fm. They'll have everything you need all in one place. I can speak from my experience. It's been awesome so far and super easy. So go check it out, guys, and we'll see you later. All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen. I have Diana here. Diana, welcome.
Hello. Hi, I'm Diana.
Super excited to have you here. I was super excited that this is the first episode of this podcast.
Same here.
We've been friends for a long time, so
Yeah.
Really excited to talk with you about your travel experiences and kick this thing off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long have we been friends?
Oh my gosh, long time.
Because you came, we both went to high school together, but you didn't go to the same elementary
so
school.
freshman year of high school. So, shoot, that's been what, 13 years?
No. Yeah.
14,
something.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
No.
Hey, we're actually getting close to our 10-year
I know.
reunion.
Did we pass it already?
Nah, I think we're, 8? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, yeah, okay, because it's 2021.
Yeah.
We graduated 2014.
Wow.
Which,
Crazy.
when I talk to other people, because a lot of my friends are older than I am, and I say, oh, I graduated in 2014, they're like, oh, what a baby, but
Yeah.
when I think about, it's actually been a long time now.
Yeah, it has.
We're still quite fresh-faced,
Mhm.
youthful people, but it's been a while.
Yeah, and well, we've both had a lot of travel
Yes.
in between those years, so
Yeah, and that's changed us a lot, I think.
yeah, definitely. So I'm excited to talk about this with you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was telling you before we jumped on the podcast here, I've been saving this bottle of whiskey for a special occasion.
Yes.
Thought this was the perfect time. So
Yes.
for all the listeners, we have a little bottle of Lagavulin here,
Mm.
which is the best scotch
That's right.
in
Lagavulin
the
16.
land. If you haven't tried it, you definitely should. Highly recommend.
It's definitely a smoky, peaty sort of whiskey.
Probably not the one to start the night on.
Yeah, it depends on your tastes. If you are a mixed drink sort of person, please don't put Lagavulin in your mixed drinks because this is a sipping whiskey, not a mixer whiskey.
Definitely sip on it, get all the flavors, the aroma.
Yeah, when I took the first sip out of my lovely mason jar glass, I just was hit with instant nostalgia because it just felt like I was home again, which for me, home is Scotland. And so
Yeah, super excited to talk with you about that.
Yeah.
So how long have you lived in Scotland for?
Since 2016.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so
5 years now.
yeah, it's crazy. I moved September of 2016 and joined this religious training program, and I was there for a year, and I came back to the States to change my visa so I could be there for longer. And so from 2018 I've been on the same visa. I had to renew it last year, and I'll be going for a permanent residency later in 2022. So
wow, that's awesome.
I know, I'm very excited.
What part of Scotland are you living in?
Paisley, Scotland. So that is sort of West Scotland, kind of in the middle. It's about 30 to 40 minutes away from the west coast, and 10 minutes away from Glasgow, which probably more people have heard of Glasgow or Edinburgh. It's like an hour train ride east to go to Edinburgh from Paisley.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a very wide country.
No, it's fairly long, but definitely not. Yeah, it's pretty narrow. The joke talking with people there is like, they'll say, oh, I'm driving a couple hours, so I'm gonna stay the weekend at this, village or whatever, and I'm thinking like, yeah, 2 hour trip, that's, I'll go for the day or for the afternoon.
Hmm.
It's not a big deal, and for, most people there, driving is not it's not a, I don't know. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
it's not a normal part of life driving the long distances.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a trip. It's not just a normal commute.
Yeah,
Whereas, I know people who their commute is over an hour sometimes,
yeah.
and which having lived away from that long enough, I find that ridiculous.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Seeing like Los Angeles, for example, it
Oh,
takes an hour just to drive in Los Angeles,
yeah. Oh
let
God.
alone somewhere else.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Public transportation in the UK and in Europe in general is so much better than it is
Mhm.
here. And so, like, I know that we do have public transportation in the cities and everything, but it feels like in the UK and in Europe, it's really streamlined. And so, like, I don't know, if you drive in Los Angeles to go to work, it's going to take you however long.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It just, I mean, I don't know what the public transportation is like in Los Angeles. Maybe it is great, but like, I don't know. I have not heard people extolling the wonders of public transportation in the
Yeah,
US.
yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
yeah.
We're definitely more that car culture.
Hmm. For sure.
Like
Very car focused.
yeah, like you said. I mean, I think a lot of people here, 2 hours is not a big deal at
Yeah, it's
all
nothing.
if you're gonna drive.
Hmm.
That's a day trip for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, my family and I would go to Wyoming every year, and we drive
Oh my gosh.
17 hours to
Oh my
get there,
gosh. How long would you stay?
for 4 or 5 days.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but we'd spend
Still,
a day and a half driving.
yeah.
So
Okay, so you would spend a day and a half driving, then spend 3 to 4 days, or was the 3 to 4 days
like
included?
yeah, like I'd say anywhere from 3 to 5 days, sometimes longer.
Okay,
If we went and saw a family in Colorado too.
okay.
So yeah, spent 30% of the trip driving.
Jeez. Okay. So the 3 to 5 days was sandwiched in between the driving.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, that's good.
yeah,
So
yeah. 7, 8 days altogether.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, I see.
yeah.
Man, how long did you do those trips? Like, was this only when you were just a kid, or did you do it as well when you were in high school with your family?
Yeah, not as much as in high school or college, because I had school and all of that. But yeah, a lot as a kid, and we did it this year. It was like the annual hunting trip with the family.
Oh, I see.
So I think my grandpa's been doing it like 30 years in a row or something like that.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's so
we've
good.
been going a long time. Some of my favorite childhood memories were was that trip
Yeah.
every year. We were so excited as my sister and I as kids to go on that trip,
Hmm.
which I think kind of helped my uh, love of travel, come to fruition. So
Yeah. So what was your favorite thing about those trips? Was it kind of the excitement of traveling, or was it more about the destination once you got there?
yeah, honestly, well, if you've been to Wyoming, we would go to Wheatland, Wyoming, which is a great place, but it's not very exciting unless you are hunting.
Gotcha.
um,
It is a hunting place.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But seeing just kind of the whole experience of we're going somewhere new, we're getting to see a lot of new land and
Mm.
different sites. We get to stay in a hotel, which as a kid was like the
Yes.
greatest thing ever.
Yes, hotels
So
are the most exciting things.
yeah,
Even as an
yeah,
adult, I get excited to stay at a hotel.
yeah.
Oh,
That's funny. So, um, I wanted to ask you, being in Scotland, what have been some of the challenges of moving over there? You talked about the visa.
mhm.
I've heard those can be a hassle.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's fairly easy because I am a white woman. So, it's not super hard. It's a lot of money. You have to fill out extensive paperwork. There's a few different hoops you have to jump through, but
Mhm.
mainly if you just fill out the right forms in the right order and submit your picture
Yeah.
and pay the UK government a whole buttload of money, then they'll probably accept you. Because you have to pay a visa fee, And then for the UK specifically, you have to pay an NHS surcharge, which is the National Health Service.
Okay.
So that means that when I live there, I am able to go to the doctor and get my prescriptions and things for free, which is amazing. So it's technically not for free because I've paid this fee up front, but it enables me to be able to, if I get injured or sick and I need a doctor, I can just go to the hospital or go to my GP, and I don't have to pay anything out of pocket at that point, which I love. It's like,
would you say that's a lot better system than compared to the U.S. or what?
For sure.
I mean, obviously very different systems.
Very different systems. I know that there are people who, I don't think I know anyone personally, maybe besides my parents, who would really say that the healthcare system here is okay. For me, I very strongly feel that the healthcare system in the UK and in Canada and other places in Europe is superior. It's it's bigger taxes.
Yeah.
But here's my little socialist. I think more taxes is worth it to be able to afford healthcare and to afford education is another thing. It's just, I remember I went to the emergency room when I was 18. This was a little trip that me and a few of my friends from our church's youth group, we had a senior party, so we went to the coast and we were riding bikes, and I can't remember exactly how I did this, but I was trying to get up onto the curb and my bike slid out from under me, and I took a tumble, tried to roll it off, but ended up just doing something to my clavicle and my shoulder area. Huge amount of pain. Nothing was broken. I was just a wimp, but I went to the emergency room and got x-rayed and everything. It's okay, it's sprained. Here, wear the sling for comfort and all that. And, and it cost, I can't quite remember. It was over $1,000, maybe a couple $1,000. And being a, poor student who just graduated high school, I was still paying off that fee, over a year later. Yeah. Which I don't know, that really bothers me. And it's I don't know. I don't want to stay on the soapbox too long, because I know we want to talk about travel, not about healthcare, but it's just...
No, but, I think it's important to note, when you are potentially moving to another country, their systems for healthcare, whatever it is, can be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might be a hard adjustment.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But it's something to bear in mind. I know a lot of people as well, it depends on if you're traveling for pleasure or if you're traveling to stay there for a while.
Yeah.
Because I know, getting travel insurance is something you should get before you travel. And that hopefully covers everything you need medically if there's an accident or emergency that happens. But moving to a different country to live there, definitely you'll come across advantages and disadvantages with the services that they have there, and that'll be a big part of culture shock for you as well.
Oh yeah. How was the culture shock moving there and coming back too?
To be honest, coming back, culture shock, especially this time around, because I've come back and forth a few times. Coming back this time around, culture shock was much worse, and I think that's probably due to just the division it feels getting starker and starker in the States. Going over there initially, it was it was different. It's one of those things where I don't know if I could have pinpointed exactly the things that were bothering me or were different or whatever, but it was just, because I was 20, I had left the country before, but not for such an extended time. I was with people that I didn't know. It was I went there and I moved into a flat by myself, and I was working with a team of people who I'd only met via email beforehand. Wow. So it was all very new for me. And I was very lucky that everyone there was just really nice. And that is something that I love about the Scottish culture, is that everyone is very hospitable and welcoming and kind. Particularly, I should speak for Paisley because that's most of my experiences there. it's just welcoming. People, will point you in the right direction, and there is just such a lack of judgment that I have felt there. It's really, I don't know, it's just kind of liberating for me.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I think I've heard that before, that Scotland's a very welcoming place.
Yeah. I think it's kind of deep in the culture to be hospitable, and yeah, it's a I've heard the phrase like, a rough but kindly people, and I think that just captures it really well. And I think that's something that Scots pride themselves on. But also, I'm really nervous to be talking about Scottish culture because it's like I am not Scottish.
Yeah.
As much as I could oh yes, I can trace back my lineage however many generations
same.
and I've told you about William Notman, I think. My great whatever grandfather who was born in Paisley, which was a super cool finding. But yeah,
Did you find that before you went there or after?
After.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I had been living in Scotland in Paisley for 2 years, and I was on the phone with my brother. I was standing in my kitchen in Paisley, and doing my thing, and my brother just brought up like, "Hey, did you know that our great grandpa was born in Paisley?" And I was like, "What?" Flipping tables. What the fuck? Why did you say this before? So that was pretty cool. But even with that, I hesitate to really talk a lot about Scottish culture because I do still feel like a foreigner there, and I'm American as much as I would love to be Scottish. I do have one Scottish friend who has given me his official stamp of like, you are Scottish now, which is nice to receive, but I'm also a bit like, maybe I'll be here a little bit longer before I can claim that. But so. No, you have done a lot of international travel, from what I can see from your Instagram.
Yeah.
Because you most recently went to Rome, was it?
Yeah, I was in, I've done a lot of traveling the last couple months. I was in Rome and in Tuscany, Italy, which is incredible. Definitely one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Yeah.
I see why so many great pieces of art have come out of Tuscany specifically, because the whole landscape is just one big painting. It's so beautiful there. So
that's lovely.
Definitely highly recommend that place as well.
Well, what did you enjoy most about Tuscany?
Oh man, so many things. I think obviously getting lots of good food. Lots of great pasta, gelato, the whole works. Lived it up while we were there. But seeing the rolling green hills, the vineyards, it's way slower pace of life, which I guess that's probably similar in Paisley.
It's similar, and I think that's a fairly common denominator throughout Europe. I feel like there is a sort of and any Europeans, feel free to correct me, but it does seem like there is more of an acceptance of a slower pace of living because life, it's recognized that life isn't just about work.
Yeah.
It's about living and enjoying yourself, and it's there's just a different approach to work, it seems like. I think the minimum holiday paid leave is like 4 weeks or something.
Oh, wow.
In Scotland. I think that might not be correct, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And I'm chatting with my sister-in-law, and she says, "Oh, I've got 10 days paid leave."
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind.
If you took 4 weeks off here in the US, you get fired.
Yeah. And that just so that maybe that's generous, maybe it's 3 weeks or something, but it's still like there is still just more of an expectation that's like, you need holiday, and if you don't take your holiday, then not that you'll be punished or something, but it is just expected, like, take your holiday.
There's a lot more emphasis on the family, on the community, relaxing, enjoying life. Which I think is awesome. We should have more of that here. That's part of the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. Is because I've spent so much of the last few years focused on work. And I didn't want that to be my life, especially after 2 years of COVID now and seeing so many people around me, pass away. A lot of people get really sick. tomorrow's not guaranteed. And so taking a little bit of time to slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy the things that really make you happy, that I think, especially here in America, we need to do more of that.
Yeah, for sure. Life is so short, and it's probably a bit morbid, but like living away from home, I'm there's like that little nagging fear in the back of my head that's like, what if everyone dies while I'm away?
Yeah.
And it's just like life. I know it's said a lot and it's a cliche, but true things tend to become cliches. But it's like, you don't have a lot of time, and you do the things that make you happy, that spread goodness and spread happiness, and go out and see other cultures, because you can't. I'm afraid of stepping on people's toes, but like I feel as though you can't appreciate the life around you to its fullest extent if you don't like get out of your comfort zone and you don't see other ways of living, because it's very easy to get stuck in an echo chamber and to be kind of like, just kind of stuck in this one place, and all you ever see are the same people or the same shops or whatever. Yeah. It's so good. Travel is so good to expand your horizons and to challenge your thinking.
Totally.
Yeah.
I know when probably the most rewarding travel experience of mine was in college. I went on spring break. We went to Guatemala and taught, kids English and just explored the country. And going to a place like that, it's a very poor country, especially where we were teaching at, they basically didn't have anything. And being able to take all of that in, that's the first time I had really seen anything like that. Seeing, the kids wore the same clothes every day. They lived in houses like that had dirt floors, and a bunch of people lived in one tiny room, and it was really hard to see, but it really opened my eyes to, we have a lot of problems here in the U.S., but we also are very lucky with what we do have. I think especially in today's world, we have so many things at our fingertips. Life could be a whole lot worse, trust me. And so having seen, a different way of life, a different kind of, social status, I guess. I definitely came back to the U.S. as a much better person. Came back with a lot different perspective on life, for sure.
Better in what ways?
I really appreciated everything that I had. I talk about this pretty openly, I guess. I mean, I grew up very, cushy childhood. I mean, my parents both had good jobs, they were married. I'm a white male, so that here in America, I mean, that's just the way it is. Life is easier. And so I never really had to struggle for anything as a kid. It never was around a lot of struggle. And so I never had to worry too much about anything. But then going and seeing people who, had to worry every day, like, are we going to have food? Are we going to have clothes to wear? Are we going to have heat in the winter? Seeing that, I just became so much more appreciative of what I did have. I definitely changed my ways, like when it comes to clothes. I'll say that's a big one for me. I very rarely will buy new clothes. I still have the same shirts that I wear from high school.
Yes. Great.
I'm just like, why do I need the newest and greatest thing? Same thing with phones. Every kid here in America's got a phone that costs $1,000, and every year there's a new one that comes out, and we want to go get the newest thing. And that I definitely was more that way when I was younger before that trip, but definitely now I'm like, I don't need that.
Sure. Yeah.
I want the memories and the experiences that bring me happiness, not all the material things.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that fan. Fuck you, fan. Hopefully that doesn't get picked up on the audio. That's okay.
It probably does a little bit, but whatever. It's fine. We're making it work.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's such a good perspective shift to kind of to realize what is, you know, a better priority. Like, am I more concerned about my appearance and my, like, social standing with my peers to, you know, come off as a certain way versus, like, am I, because I mean that can afford you happiness, but like I think there are things that are perhaps deeper and more long lasting and, you know, create a deeper and longer impact. You know, like, I'm drawing a blank for examples, but just, you know, like, rather than, like you said, like, worrying about, oh, you know, I need to get the new $50 shirt, you know, why don't I worry about, like, let's go bowling with my family, you know, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just, I just keep thinking about Thrift Shop, you know, the Macklemore song, and I'm like, like, oh, yo, Gucci, that's hella tight. Yo, that's $50 for a t-shirt. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Don't need $50 for a t-shirt. Just go to Goodwill, or, like, that is something that I love about the UK is charity shops. That is such a, it's a part of the culture. So you go to a charity shop, and charity shops are thrift stores that are for specific charities. So, like, there's Save the Children, Cancer Research, Salvation Army is there, Accord Hospice, Deborah. There's a whole bunch, and usually the people who work there are volunteers. You go, you donate your clothes or your random bits and bobs from your house, and everything is, you know, £1 to £5. It's really affordable, but all of the profits go to that charity that they're supporting, and I absolutely love that. So it's like sort of like Goodwill, but like better. Sorry. Sorry, Goodwill.
By the way, for everyone that doesn't know, pounds is the currency in the UK.
Yep, sorry. Yeah, great.
The clothes aren't £5. They cost £5.
That's right. You don't go in with your little scale and like, okay, £5 of gold for this shirt. God. So it's,
So going back to your time in Scotland, what's been some of the rewarding moments that you've had, or what have you kind of learned or taken from your time there?
Ooh, a lot. To be honest, this is where it gets like really stepping on people's toes. So I grew up in a small town, very conservative, very religious upbringing, and I moved to a European country to join another religious organization, but the outside perspective of America was so eye-opening, and the world perspective on guns, on, like we talked about before, healthcare and the education system, it really, and like nationalism, that sort of thing, like it was super eye-opening, and it just, I felt like the veil was torn for me to see a lot of the deeply embedded flaws in America. Not to say that, you know, the UK is perfect by any means. Like, the UK definitely has its own host of issues. But and just, I mean, the Western world in general, everybody's got problems.
Everybody's got problems.
I shouldn't get too specific, but speaking as an American living in a European, soon to be post-European country, or is it already?
I don't know. It's been so confusing. It's been like 5 years now.
I fucking live there and I still don't know. And that's
I think
on
technically
me.
They're separated now.
Yeah, I think it's...
But they still have like the whole trade thing.
There's still ties.
That's a whole mess.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And I like to be an ostrich, which doesn't help. Head in the sand, you know, for those who didn't get that. But yeah, anyway, so as an American living outside of my country and living in a country that, you know, most of the community around me leans more left, even the sort of like right-leaning people to America's standards, they're very moderate. And so it's just such a different way of viewing things. And it opened my eyes as well to my own religion, Christianity, and kind of realizing like a lot of the values in Christianity aren't actually being upheld by, you know, some of the churches that are in America. And, you know, again, not just America, like, you know, everybody's got problems.
Yeah.
There's, you know, lots of religious organizations that got problems, but it's just, you know, kind of seeing the value of a national healthcare system and of an education system that allows young people, or well, not just young people, but allows people to go get university degree for nothing. Like,
yeah, that's a big one here.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in my career, you know, working with people's finances, everyone has student loans, and it can be a significant chunk of your income that gets taken for that. And it's really sad to see so many people come out and just be strapped with debt for so long, which is going to take away from all the other goals, like maybe traveling.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, it's true. It's just, it feels inhumane to, you know, head into your adult life just, strapped with this heavy burden of debt. And you have to, there are so many financial programs out there to like, here's how to, you know, pay off your debt. Here, you know, these 5 tricks or whatever to get your life back on track. And it's like, this problem could be nipped in the bud, you know? And of course there are going to be, you know, there's plenty of people who mismanage their money and don't know how to balance a checkbook or hold a budget or anything. Sorry, I'm probably talking a bit quick. But there are things that again, living outside of the US, I see there are different ways of doing things, and it just creates a wider perspective, and it's really changed just how I view my nationality, like as an American, especially for the first couple of years. I was really embarrassed. I didn't want anyone to know I was American, and living in a different country, you know, you hear this different accent, so your accent kind of wobbles and changes, and I would be so relieved if someone asks, like, "Oh, are you Canadian?" And I'd want to say yes, like, "Yes, I'm Canadian. Don't know that I'm American," but you know,
we're pretty close to Canada.
We're pretty close. Yeah, it's so far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just and the number. Oh, I don't want to go down that road. Never mind.
It's all good.
Moving on.
No, I was gonna say with the whole accent thing, and I didn't really like process it until you mentioned it just now.
Oh.
But I definitely hear a little bit of accent now. I'm like, there's definitely a Scottish influence.
Oh God, I try so hard because I am very self-conscious at affecting an accent. I really don't want to be that American who, you know, comes back from the UK and is like, "Hello, governor," and it's like, shut the fuck up. You are not British.
Yeah.
so I think some people are worse for this than others. And so she and I were really bad for this, and she and I talked about this of like, she shared the story with me of hearing this, like, some relative or relative's friends came over and they were from some country and they had an accent, and she started to mimic the accent back to them. And, you know, she came away from that being all embarrassed and everything. But I think it's just like, you know, I do the same thing. I'll be in a conversation with a Scottish person and I'll just, you know, my accent will start to kind of have its little lilts and different cadences, and I'll walk away from that conversation feeling like, oh fuck, was I being such a total prick, like just imitating this person to their face? And but all that to say, it's okay if your accent changes. It's just, I have a bit of a phobia of it seeming like I'm doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I think it's more of a subconscious thing, because I mean that's how we get the voices that we do, is by mimicking how our parents spoke to us and how everyone around us spoke to us.
Yeah.
And so if you're around a different type of speaking or different accent, you're probably gonna pick that up subconsciously.
Absolutely.
Over time. So
even just standing in the kitchen with my mom yesterday, yesterday evening, I became aware of the cadence of my voice just matching hers and like
Yeah.
saying these little exclamations and phrases that are definitely hers. Like I can't think of an example, but I just kind of like caught myself like, who the fuck is talking right now? So like for
Yeah.
you, like do you I'm sure you've experienced that as well, like talking with your parents or, visiting somewhere else. Like how have you experienced an accent change depending on where you are?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely, um, I notice sometimes I'll say a word that I learned
Hmm.
in a different country.
Oh.
Um,
Do you have any
like,
examples?
uh, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank
I
now off the
know.
top of my head.
As soon as someone asks a question, it's
Yeah.
gone.
But I think especially with Spanish, I mean, I've been around Spanish a fair amount.
Hmm.
And so sometimes, just I'll think of things in a Spanish word just without
Oh,
even thinking about it.
sure.
Of course, I actively am trying to learn Spanish, get better at it.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I got a trip to Colombia planned, so that
Oh,
should be fun.
bring back coffee if you
Yeah.
can.
Oh my gosh, I think
God,
I think I'm going to a coffee plantation. I can't remember.
nice.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, I think going back to the different perspectives and, kind of being embarrassed about, being an American, I totally understand that. I mean, having experienced a lot of different cultures myself, one, like, okay, I see why some places might not be as friendly to Americans.
Hmm.
I also see, obviously there's different ways of life that we could bring back to the
Hmm.
U.S. that I think would make America a lot better too. That's probably been one of the biggest um, kind of takeaways for me from travel is there's so many different ways to do life,
Yeah.
and we could just we don't necessarily have to change the whole system, but you could definitely integrate
Hmm.
some of these different ways of doing things that I
Yeah.
think would make everyone's lives better.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So it's kind of interesting to see. I wanted to ask you too, having seen those different perspectives,
Hmm.
um, we talked about the culture shock at the beginning.
Mm.
Um, I'm curious, do you feel like Scotland's home now? Do you feel like America's home? Do you feel like you maybe don't have a home?
Ooh, good question because
This is what I think about a lot for myself.
yeah, hmm, I would say answer C, but not so much. I don't feel as though I don't. It's a dichotomy. On the one hand, I really do feel like I don't have a home. I don't know where I
Mhm.
belong. But on the other hand, it's like, well, no, actually, I have lots of homes.
Yeah,
I don't just have
yeah,
one home. Like, I have a home in Cowichee with my parents. I have a home in Portland with my brother and sister-in-law, and I have a whole community down there, and I have multiple homes in Scotland, in Paisley. Like there, and the more I travel, and the more I live in different places, and the more people I meet, the more it's kind of what's the word like reinforced in me that here's another cliche home is about the people. Home is
yeah,
where you feel connected and belonging and
yeah.
like you found your tribe, and so I am very lucky and kind of cursed at the same time that so much of
Yeah,
my tribe is scattered everywhere.
that's a good way of putting it. That's definitely the way I feel too. I feel, the world is my home. I have so many different
Yeah.
places that I feel comfortable in,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I don't feel like any one place like that, like you said, my tribe is scattered all over. I
Hmm.
don't feel like they're in any one specific place.
Yeah.
So definitely good. There's good things that come out of that. There's some bad things that come out of that too.
Yeah, for sure. Because no matter where you go, you're gonna be homesick.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I have such a deep pang in my heart
yes.
for Scotland right now, and I'm terrified that something's gonna come up, and I'm not gonna be able to go back to Scotland
Mhm.
in a couple of weeks, or 6 weeks or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
How's it been with COVID the last couple of years?
yeah, it's definitely oofed. of course, the beginning was a lot stricter. We were very tightly locked down, and we came out of it a bit, and then we're locked down again. For me, my experience, it felt as though it was just kind of perpetual lockdown, and there would be some changes here and there, but like generally, it was like didn't really leave the house. At the strictest point, it was like you couldn't go outside unless it was for like your hourly allotment for exercise or to go to the grocery store, or some other emergency. And now it's a fairly normal way of living, of like you have your mask on when you go inside the stores or at any public place, unless you're sitting down to eat, and try to practice social distancing as much as possible. But that was one of the culture shock things coming back, particularly in, there are different parts of the country that are, more stringent on mask mandates.
We're all over the map here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Some places doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Some places very strict.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think Scotland is kind of somewhere in the middle as far as like, really wanting to uphold safe practices and everything, and would rather err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as traveling during our COVID era, it was really pretty straightforward because I did wait until restrictions had eased quite a lot. So basically all I had to do was, I'm double vaccinated. I had to take a PCR test 72 hours before my flight. Yeah. And I had to show proof of vaccination and proof of a negative test in order to board and in order to land and everything. And yeah, and so on my way back, I'll have to do something similar. I'll have to get another PCR test, but it's pretty simple, to be honest. You have to wear your mask on and all that, but
yeah, that's what I found going to Italy a few months ago. It was, other than getting the test right before going there and coming back, wasn't really too big of a deal.
It's very straightforward. Yeah, it's maybe just a little bit more extra work, but honestly, I think it's worth it. I mean, being a young person and being vaccinated, I'm more likely to be an asymptomatic spreader, which is why I still, I try to be careful about wearing a mask and everything. But you also gotta. Sometimes you have to go home. You have to see people, and it's just there's risks you have to take, and hopefully you're just being smart about it and not putting vulnerable people in danger.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of been my philosophy over the last couple of years. Done a lot of traveling over the last couple of years, but it's like, okay, you got to wear a mask, which can be annoying, especially indoors possibly. But if you want to go see these cool places, I'm definitely willing to wear that mask, to take the test so that I can go experience the Colosseum in Rome.
Sure,
that's way worth it for me.
To
wear a mask for. So
it's a small price to pay. Like it's such a simple thing, and because it's again kind of going back to that perspective of like is my priority. Again, I'm probably gonna be stepping on so many toes, but like
that's okay.
Is my priority gonna be like, oh, my rights and my I get to I can't breathe. And I was like, you can't breathe. I can breathe with a mask on. Oh God, this is gonna be so. I feel so bad. This is probably not. You don't want a political podcast.
I definitely don't want to go down that road. But,
no.
I think when it comes to
I'm
travel,
saying.
like this is important right now.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. It's just we're wanting to stop a spread, and it's a very small price to pay in order to keep other people safe. We're two young people, and the chances of us getting horribly affected by a virus is fairly low. We might still catch it, we might still have some symptoms, but it's not gonna. Odds are it's not gonna be that bad. But there are people who, when they do get it, it's life-threatening. I've had people pass away from that, and it's. Wearing a mask while you're inside is such a small price. So and especially while traveling, you don't have to. It's it's just a little extra step. But
Yeah, the one thing I do really like about masks, this is going to sound super weird,
I'm
but
ready. I'm ready for
um,
it.
it, having flown a lot in the last couple of years, wearing have to wear the mask the whole time on the plane. Sometimes fall asleep on the plane, and it's
Uh,
nice to have the mask there because I'm catching the flies with my mouth open,
yes.
and nobody can see it now.
Yes. Now you can fall asleep without looking stupid.
I definitely have gotten better sleep on planes than I have since before COVID.
Really? That's so
Which is-
funny. Because you're not self-conscious.
Yeah, you got to find the silver lining, right?
That's great. I love that. Oh, that's wonderful. That's another thing is like I don't worry about having bad breath nearly as much anymore with the mask. It's like, I can smell my own breath. And it's horrible, but at least no one else can.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like,
fine.
did I shave today? Who cares? No one can
Exactly.
see it.
It's fine. It's fine. No one can see it.
Yeah.
Man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You always got to find the positives. I think
Sure.
that's another thing traveling's brought about for me is there's so many things to be positive about in life.
Yeah.
And finding the positivity is going to make your life more fulfilling.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So.
So with as far as like, because one of my questions for you was going to be, what are some of the life lessons that you have learned from traveling?
Well,
So
currently I'm writing a whole entire book about that, essentially.
yeah, you are. There's that little book push right there.
Yeah. Still got a long ways to go there, but
Uh-huh.
gosh, I mean, it's hard to narrow it down to just one or two.
Mm-hmm. Give me 10.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I think just being really appreciative of what I do have,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the biggest one. I think being able to take a step back and just really enjoy the moment,
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm not very good at. But traveling forces you to really be in the moment,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a place where you don't understand the language, you don't know, you can't read any of the signs. You have to be very in the moment and figure it out and just experience everything around you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like so many just personal things I didn't know about myself or that I've really, I don't know how to put it. I guess I've grown into what I feel is a much better person because of traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I hadn't ever traveled, I probably would have gone down a different life path and been a totally different person.
Sure.
So I'm really happy with the way I have gone.
Yeah.
And that, that's kind of why I want to help share this with other people because I think it is a very rewarding experience. And like you said, if you go somewhere and you come back, you're gonna be coming from a totally different perspective now.
Exactly.
Life is gonna be completely different, probably in a much better way.
Yeah, we grow so much from the influences around us, and the more we can vary those influences, the more well-rounded I think you become. And so, like, for you, you've traveled a lot. You've traveled throughout the States a lot. You've gone to different places in Europe, I think, and also South America. And so for you personally, you have quite a wide array of influences that have shaped you to who you are now.
Yeah.
And also, you're 25, 26?
Almost 26.
Yeah. Wait, when's your...
Yeah, 20th. Ours are pretty close, right?
That's right!
Yeah.
I knew it! Yes! Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little high school flashback.
I think you're older than me by like a few days, but whatever.
No, you're older than me.
I'm older
by like 3 days. Yeah. All right, all the responsibility can go to you then.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, we're both still very young, and so we're still, it's easier for us to be shaped and influenced by our environment. There's something I read or heard or whatever, some article title or someone said something in passing. Super reliable information. I heard someone say this. But it was something about how, like, once you reach a certain age, I think in your 40s, there's something in your brain that just kind of like, it becomes harder to change.
Yeah.
And so the whole concept of older people being set in their ways is like biologically there's some truth in that.
I think the neurons or whatever don't grow or connect as well. And so I think once you get to 25, your brain stops developing,
Yeah.
and so it gets harder after that to
Exactly.
bring in anything new.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like, and that's not to say you can't change or learn or grow after a certain age. That's not it at all. But it's definitely, I think, in your younger years, I think it's especially important to travel
Mhm.
and to see more of the world because you're still very impressionable, and that's the cool thing once you become an adult and those sweet years before, if you don't, dive board directly into university or whatever. I mean, university is great because again, you're still getting different influences than your hometown, but if you choose to spend those years working or traveling, you get to choose who is influencing your life. And I think those are very critical years to be choosing influences because you are so spongy. It's like little toddlers or babies when they're learning. They're just little sponges and they're just absorbing everything. And so even though we're developed and everything, it's still, we're still spongy.
yeah, definitely. I totally get that.
Yeah. I don't know. So what's all the places you've been to, do you have a favorite?
I was going to ask you that.
Beat
It's hard to say. I get asked this question a lot, talking with people about travel. There's so many places that are so different from each other. It's really hard to say one for sure, but the one that I enjoyed my time most, and that I like, the one place I really felt like I could totally spend a lot more time here was New Zealand.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, that one was, I was like, okay, I can see myself being here for an extended period of time, potentially living here. It was just such a beautiful country. People are very friendly. You get all the different seasons. You got the mountains, you got the beach. It's all super close by. And yeah, it's just an awesome place.
So if you were to live abroad, like if you were deported from America, the government was like, get out of here, Kyle, go live somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where would you go?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good place, especially because it's very isolated. So if things go bad in the world, that's probably a good place to be.
I mean, just look at how they've handled the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm secondhand proud of New Zealand, but
I think I can't remember the statistic. They told me when I was there, it's something like there's like 3 times as many sheep there as there is people.
Perfect.
So it's very good for social distancing.
Yes. Very good if you want to go be a hermit.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I mean the UK as well. Haven't got up to Scotland yet, but I will eventually.
Come on.
Maybe say like a year from now we do this podcast in Scotland.
Hell yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Yes. Annual podcast.
We're gonna make that a commitment right now.
All right, done. Donezo. What is it?
It's recorded, so.
That's right. 8th of December, or early December. See you next year in Scotland. I'll find a little, padded closet.
Hopefully one that
office.
doesn't have a fan going on and off.
I know. I don't think I can do as good as a bank vault, but I think I can find a large enough closet with cushiony walls that it'll have good acoustics.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, fun question for you.
Excellent.
Have you seen the Loch Ness Monster yet?
No, I actually haven't even been up to Loch Ness yet.
Really?
I know.
How far is it from where you're at?
I don't know.
Okay.
I could look it up.
I remember when I looked at it on Google Maps, I think it's pretty far north.
That tracks. I think the closest, loch of renown. There's plenty of lochs close to me, like Loch Winnoch and oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank on others, but Loch Lomond. You may have heard, the Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond song, maybe. I'm not gonna sing it. That's fairly close to me. That's probably the closest big loch near us.
Yeah.
Gotta get the.
Which is just lake, right?
Yeah, it's just lake. So loch is lake. Ben Lomond is Mount Lomond. I'm trying to think of.
It's almost like we came from there and we have similar language.
I know, exactly. It's almost as if we've got influences from
there.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. I love lochs. Lochs are great. Fun fact, a creek is also known as a burn in Scotland.
Burn, okay.
Yeah. So it's
When that comes up on Jeopardy,
uh-huh.
I'm gonna get the
Now
answer
you'll know.
right.
Now you'll know. It's like I'm gonna go take a wee duke in the burn.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna go take a quick dip in the creek.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's your favorite word you've learned being there?
That's such a good question. I think Koorian. So
What's
that's COORIE space IN. Sorry,
There's a lot in there.
I know you're not a wordsy person, you're a mathy person. For me, I'm very a wordsy person, so it helps me to spell it out.
That's why I have you edit my papers.
Exactly, that's right. Yes, this was us. This was our relationship in high school. Was I would edit Kyle's English papers, and he would help me with my math homework because that was.
She pretty much taught me English.
That's very generous, and I think you probably taught me math. I still have to count on my fingers. No, but no. So Koorian is sort of like it is a Scots word, and there's a lot of depth to it that I'm going to miss out on. But essentially, it's sort of like hygge.
I heard the Scottish in there.
All right.
Said Sora.
Sora. That's that one. And there's I find myself saying I, and I'll say like I yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah yeah. Or cheers. I say cheers for thanks. But anyway, so Koorian is sort of like to cuddle, to cozy in. So it's kind of, it paints the picture of like dark, somber, wet nights, and you're inside with your family and drinking, hot cocoa or whatever, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, Koorian, or like someone's taking a picture, and like, okay, crowd in front of the camera, Koorian, come on, and it's just kind of this like cozy up, get close, it's a very comforting sort of word, and so I was at this sort of Scots words celebration night. It was
interesting,
gorgeous. It was so lovely. We met in this coffee shop, very small venue, and my good friend Anne, who is an author and a professor and a teacher, she put this thing together, and she went through, I think, half a dozen Scots words. Holy shit, we talked a long time. We'll edit out a lot of shit.
It says 60 minutes, okay.
Okay, that's the time limit. Okay, so anyway,
that was a past hour.
I know. She just went through several Scots words, and there was a band playing music that kind of associated with each word, and that's where I heard about Koorian. And she talked about, when she was explaining the word Koorian, it was this sort of finding the beauty in the darkness, and that's what I love. And I feel like Scots are really, you kind of have to be good at that when you live in a country that's wet almost year round, and the nights, the winter nights are, like there's like 5 hours of daylight or 4 hours of daylight in the winter. So it's, so I love Koorian for that, like, cozy up, cuddle up, find the beauty in the darkness.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. I mean, we're probably gonna have to edit this here. Looks like we can do another like segment or whatever. But I was gonna ask you. Obviously the Scottish have had kind of a hard, existence. Being oppressed by England and all of that throughout much of their history. And then obviously, like you said, the long, dark winter nights.
Sure.
I guess it sounds like it kind of translates into their language and maybe their food or something like that, just how they kind of live life, like we talked about the community.
Yeah. I think that's a very astute observation, because I hadn't really thought of it before now, but yeah, the Scots like their comforting food and drink, like you go, pub culture is such a deep thing in the UK. And
how's the Guinness?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, Guinness, of course, is originated in Ireland.
Yeah.
But still, that's actually like a half pint of Guinness is usually my go-to drink when I go to a pub. Although that's changing now. I've started getting into beers, and I'm trying to expand my palate more. But yeah, Guinness is very good, very creamy. I love it.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
That's definitely one of my top bucket list items is to go to the Guinness factory in Dublin.
Yes. Well worth a visit. Definitely go.
Have you been there?
I don't think so. No, I have not been there. I did go to an Irish pub and got a Guinness, draft Guinness,
Yeah,
and it was better than any Guinness I've ever
yeah.
had.
I definitely agree that it's better the closer you get there.
Oh
And
yeah,
obviously on the tap is so much better.
absolutely, and that's how I feel about whiskey in Scotland. Like,
Mhm.
when we drink here, we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drink a Scotch. When you're in Scotland, it's a whiskey.
Yeah.
It's just whiskey, and it's so much more affordable there, of course. Got a minute
Yeah,
left. I feel
okay.
so bad
Hey,
to talk so much.
why don't we stop this and see if we can get
Okay.
something else going?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I think we're back here.
Yeah, part 2. Refill that.
We'll see how it goes. Like I said, this is the first episode, so it's a work in progress.
For sure.
Definitely not the most tech savvy person in the
Yeah.
world, so we're figuring it out as we go here.
Exactly.
Right.
And we'll definitely, yeah.
Do you want more of this? We got a little bit left here.
Yeah, you can give me a little bit, or you can
Okay.
finish that off. I'm happy either way.
Okay.
Just finish it. Yeah.
That wasn't much.
Yeah, that's all right. Do you know how do I ask this question? Do you know the word for a drink in Scotland, and not just in Scotland, in the UK? Like, oh, let's go have a.
The word that comes to mind is dram. I don't think that's it though.
No, that is a Scottish word. Dram. The word I was looking for is tipple.
Tipple. Okay.
Tipple. So I'll just have a wee tipple.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's like totally different from drink.
I know. But I think it's sort of like this, like just the miming pouring the drink into the glass. It's like, oh, just have a wee tipple there. Yeah.
So, have you been to any of the distilleries there?
Yes, I went to a distillery on the Isle of Arran, and that was wonderful. That was a lot of fun. And I went to a distillery in Northern Ireland, Bushmills, I believe it was. Which of the two, I preferred Arran.
Okay.
That might just be my Scottish bias, but yeah, both were very fun. I'd like to do more distillery tours, but yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's a lot more fun if you have people visiting. Like I did the Arran distillery tour with my family when they came for Christmas, and then I did the Bushmills tour when I was visiting with friends of mine. So it's definitely sort of a like, let's get the family together.
Yeah.
Let's get friends together, and we'll go for a trip and check out the distillery.
I'm sure it's probably a pretty touristy thing to do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you do see, I think you do see some local people doing it, but like when we toured it was like people on holiday from England or other Americans or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's. I think it could also be like a stag do sort of thing, or family trip sort of thing. I don't know. But yeah. So stag do, just in case I threw that out there, but that's a bachelor party.
Bachelor party.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's stag do and hen do, and a do is a party. Hen
That's
is
funny.
Yeah. So it's cute. I like it. That's something.
All the Scottish words.
I know,
Funny.
there's so much, and like I'll walk down the street, or I'll go into a charity shop and be looking for something, and the person volunteering be like, oh, you're right there, hen. And it's really sweet. I don't know, it just warms my heart. Like, oh yes, I am a hen. I am a love, or I'm a whatever. Yeah. Like they'll say like, yeah, or pal. Pal is a big like you're right, Paul. And it's just like, oh, it's like, oh, I am all right. Thanks, Paul.
I'd be like, who's Paul?
Who's Paul? That's kind of become an inside joke between me and my American roommate, and that's sort of a joke of like the word pal in particularly Paisley kind of sounds like Paul, and so now whenever I'm hanging out with my roommate, I'm like, hey Paul, how's it going? I'm like, oh, it's good. How you doing, Paul? And it's just So now I'll walk around and talk to my brothers, my friends, and I'll just say, like, oh, thanks, Paul, or cheers, Paul. And they're like, who the fuck is Paul? What are you talking about, Diane? I'm like, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned you have an American roommate. I've always, am curious about this, and I am writing about this actually right now as I write my book.
The American Roommate chapter.
Yeah. Well, more so just, do you find it's easier to adjust to living in Scotland by having someone who's American who comes from a similar background, as broad speaking in America, but or would you rather be completely on your own where everyone comes from a different background than you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I first moved, like I said before, I moved into a flat and I lived by myself for the year, and that had its pros and cons. I think I do prefer that. I think it's depending on how long you're living there, and how immersive in the culture you want to be, because the nature of my work was fairly insular.
Yeah.
And so it honestly, a lot of the times, feels like I'm working at the American Embassy and I'm not actually in Scotland, and that irritates the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
So personally, I would rather be living either on my own or with a local roommate, or even just a roommate who's not American. So someone who's a student who's come from Slovakia or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, being a part of a team or living with people who are American, that is very helpful to have someone who kind of understands specific cultural stresses that come with being an American living abroad.
I feel like it helps you just kind of adjust in a more gradual way. Like you have someone you can fall back on with your own culture and your own experiences, and so your senses aren't totally being overloaded by the different culture that you're in all the time. You can step out of that for a second.
Yeah, you can reference something from, your past life, and the other person will probably get it, and I think if I were to recommend something, like if you were to move to the UK, I would probably recommend, for the first little bit, have a roommate who is, or at least, maybe if not having a roommate or flatmate, but like have people there who are expatriates. And that way, because they will know kind of the specific things that you're going through as you adjust.
Yeah.
And then, but definitely even more highly recommend get local friends.
Yeah.
And build a local community. Because some of the best friendships I have are people who are local, or at least Scottish, and they give me, again, going back to perspectives, they give me a different perspective on life, and it's really authentic and fulfilling. But I will say sometimes it's hard to make Scottish friends, because while everyone is very friendly, for me at least, there's kind of this, and my other expatriate friends have said this as well, that it's sort of like you kind of have to prove yourself to your Scottish friends of like, I'm not just gonna leave, it's sort of, I feel like Scottish people are very ride or die, so they're very friendly and hospitable and welcoming and everything, but you'll definitely be kind of kept at arm's length until you become actual friends, and then once you're past that barrier, then it's like, I've got your back till the end.
Now you're in the clan.
Exactly, yeah, and it's just...
That reminds me of Braveheart. All good days
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Any tips, tricks, advice for people that are looking to live abroad, at least for a while, or just travel abroad in general?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you tell people?
Pack lighter than you think you need to.
Agreed.
I definitely would recommend looking up packing tips as far as like how to pack things really small and neatly. I'm trying to, there are quite a few different things that, man, I need to think about this, because there are things that you don't really think about, because you probably know, the more you travel, you just kind of automatically do these little shortcuts to help you travel easier and more comfortably.
I think you really understand what you actually need, what you don't need.
Yeah, you don't need a scuba suit. You will need plenty of underwear. But also, like, yeah, definitely pack lighter than you think you need, because there will be shops there that you can get things that you're missing. And especially, like, I don't know, you'll want to take back souvenirs. You'll want to take back, new clothes or whatever that you found there. So, like, specifically going to the UK, charity shops are literally everywhere, and you can get some really cool finds there. So definitely pack lighter.
I know I've made that mistake where I try to pack as light as I can, but I try to take it in as small of a bag as I can, and so I pack it in there, and then I buy souvenirs. I'm like, oh no,
where am I gonna put all this stuff?
I either gotta get rid of clothes or it's definitely a advice that I would give to other travelers is definitely pack lighter, leave room to bring stuff home.
Absolutely. Leave room to bring stuff home, or alternatively, bring things that you are willing to donate while you're there.
Yeah.
Because that's another option. It's like, maybe bring stuff that's not your favorite anymore, but you'll still wear, and then at the end of the trip, donate it to a charity shop, and then bring home all the souvenirs that you want to bring, all the whiskey that you want to bring home to your family.
Smart plan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I had a friend message me asking about travel tips, because she was traveling internationally. Actually, no, she was traveling on a plane for the first time by herself, and then planning on traveling internationally for the first time later. And her main question was about, like, staying safe as a single woman. And luckily, my experience with traveling in that regard has been very safe, because most people, like, in the airport, it's sort of like people are there to travel, people aren't there to, like, get some or whatever. I think it's more like being safe once you're actually inside the country. That's a whole other realm of topic, but traveling wise, you should be, especially depending on where you're going, what airports you're going to, like, safety is pretty good. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely think, unfortunately for women, you got to be more observant. It is a little more dangerous for sure. But I mean, most people around the world are pretty friendly, pretty nice. I mean, a lot of places rely on tourism, especially American tourism, and so they're happy to have you there.
Yeah.
But of course, there are the bad apples out there, like any place.
And it is good, and obviously you still want to be observant, and I think for women, like, we tend to just be naturally observing all the time. Like, I'll catch myself just kind of running through scenarios of, like, okay, if X happens, I'm going to do Y, and it's and you think of multiple different things. But yeah, anyway, I think just as a word of I don't know, comfort, like, you should be safe. And there are definitely I don't know, maybe I speak too soon, though, because I can only speak from my own experience, and I've been very lucky. And, I've gone to airport bathrooms, and there's a poster on the stall door that's a sort of like a helpline thing of, like, if you are traveling, not under your will, then call this number or speak to this person. And I love that that's there, because I love that that's that's a resource, but I hate that it has to be there. I hate that that's a reality. And so I kind of want to take back my statement of, like, you're going to be safe, but because that's only my experience. I have always felt safe traveling, but it's still, be mindful, be aware of your surroundings. Don't leave your bags unattended, because the airport security, they'll yell at you. You need to keep your bags with you. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm thinking of a story. I'm not sure if I should share it or not.
You don't need to share anything you don't want to.
I know. But just, I think there's, you want to be open to conversations with new people, but also do be wary of strangers, because things can happen.
I mean, like we're taught, be smart. Don't do anything, super crazy. That's the one thing that probably annoys me most about American travelers. I don't know if you've experienced this, but for me, it's very easy to know who's American
Yes.
when I'm traveling abroad.
Yes.
They're usually
it
the loudest
hurts.
one in the room.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
but usually, I feel, and this is definitely stereotyping, but generally speaking, Americans are a lot more, I would say, outgoing.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot more happy and loud and obnoxious,
Mm-hmm.
and that draws attention, which can be good, which can be bad too. But I feel like if we just, take in our surroundings, be smart, don't do anything that you wouldn't do here either.
Yeah.
It's probably a safe bet.
Yeah, for sure. I know, it's just, I think that's it. Just be smart, be observant, be aware. I totally agree with you in that you can spot the American tourist just a mile away. It's really, and that was also what I was talking about earlier, just feeling so self-conscious and really wanting to blend in and I didn't want to be a sore thumb, I didn't want to stick out. That's like, there's the American, it's like, no, God, please, let me be involved in your culture.
Yeah.
But, do you have any embarrassing travel stories?
Oh gosh. That reminds me, I didn't get your favorite place.
My favorite place?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's gotta be Scotland. I live there.
Okay, that was gonna be my guess.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be Scotland. I love it so much. It's beautiful. I love the people. And I am biased, because I have really close friends there, and my heritage is Scottish, and it's just, it really does feel like home. I'm trying to think of like places that I've been that that if I had to pick besides Scotland, but just I love Scotland to bits and pieces. It's my absolute favorite.
That's one of the places I haven't been to, and I definitely gotta get up there, especially if you're gonna be there.
Exactly. Yes. We'll go on a whiskey distillery tour. We'll do the tourist thing.
It has been a dream of mine to go to the Lagavulin distillery.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was reading on the back of this. I got this box here that the bottle came in. It talks about the different classic regions and all that, and so there's apparently 6 different regions.
Wow.
So it'd be fun to go. Really, it tells you the classic whiskeys from each of those places, and so I think that'd be a fun tour to do.
Yeah, to do it. Yeah.
Go around each of those.
I have been to the Oban Distillery as well. I forgot about that one. Oban was nice. It was good. Also peaty. It was so much fun.
Do you like more like the peaty, smoky like this one is?
I do. Although I have so when I first moved to Scotland, I kind of got my tastes set. I was like, peaty, smoky whiskey, stout Guinness, those are like, these are the ones that I like. But as the longer I've lived there and as I've matured as a person, I've kind of become a lot less hard on my likes and dislikes. And so I recently had a Glenfiddich here. And that's not smoky at all, but
it's still good.
It was really nice. It was smooth, buttery almost. It was really, really nice. So I think I prefer smoky, but I probably actually don't like Laphroaig as much as I used to, or Talisker, I think, is another that's like super smoky. I prefer Lagavulin. It's still smoky. It's still very, has that heat, but it's not like you're drinking liquefied fire.
Some of them are like, whew,
it's like,
can't do that.
That is pure camp smoke.
Shoot, I had another question and I forgot it.
I'm sorry.
We were talking about the embarrassing travel stories.
What's your most embarrassing travel story, Kyle?
I'm trying to think. One that probably wasn't actually embarrassing, but I thought it was embarrassing. So I was going to study abroad in Sydney, Australia.
That's right.
And so on my way down there, I thought it'd be fun to travel around Southeast Asia. And so I left like 2 weeks early for my study abroad program. And so I spent 2 weeks. I spent a couple of days in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But I had to pack for living abroad for 6 months.
Oh,
and
gosh.
so that's very difficult to do kind of the weekend trips to each place
Yeah.
with 6 months worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I remember getting to Hong Kong, which is the first place I went to, and I left it was like early February.
Okay.
So it was very cold here in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was planning I was coming from a cold place, and it was going to be going into wintertime by the time I would be leaving Australia. So I had some winter stuff with me.
Right.
But anyway, so I get to Hong Kong, and I am lugging around this humongous suitcase, and then I got a smaller one. I got my backpack on, and then I'm wearing my coat because I don't have room to, put it. And so I'm trying to get to the hotel, and I obviously don't understand the language at all. I can't figure it out. I knew it was like in this one area,
Mm-hmm.
but I ended up walking around the streets of Hong Kong, which Hong Kong is very close to the equator. It's very hot and humid there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I remember just being drenched in sweat, walking around trying to find my hotel.
Oh gosh.
And I finally went into this one store, and I could tell they were like, "What the heck is wrong with this guy?"
This dude's got issues.
Luckily, one of them spoke a little bit of English, and so she helped me out.
Oh.
But I was just drenched in sweat walking around the streets of Hong Kong.
That sounds miserable. That sounds like hell.
I'm sure I got a lot of stares, a lot of weird looks,
Uh-huh.
but I remember being so embarrassed. Like, oh my gosh, this is my first day
Yeah.
out of the country. Right now I'm like,
Oh, God.
first day of this big long trip,
Yeah.
and it's not going very well. So.
Oh, it hurts, man. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, what did you learn
Right.
from that experience?
If you know where you're going and you know what the weather's going to be like, put the coat away before you get out of the airport and like into the taxi and everything.
Uh-huh.
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. No, just I would say just be prepared.
Mhm.
I'm a huge planner, especially when it comes to travel.
Mhm.
Honestly, that's part of the fun is planning the trip.
Aw.
And so yeah, I definitely wish I was better prepared for like, okay, this is how I'm gonna get to the hotel, so I can drop off this stuff, so I can actually travel.
There you go. There you go.
For the few days I'm there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Was that the first time you traveled internationally at all?
No, that was like the third or fourth time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Because
So-
that would have been even harder being such a
Oh my gosh, yeah,
fresh
yeah.
experience.
I think what was harder was I was on my own too, which
Oh.
was probably good because I was embarrassed.
Like,
but
ah.
no, nobody saw that. No,
Yeah.
I don't think I've told anyone about that until now.
Uh, be blessed, listeners.
Yeah. No, but that's the things I want to share on here is
Mhm.
obviously you'll learn on the fly as you're traveling.
Yeah.
But if I can help kind of share some of those tips and tricks with people so that they can learn from my mistakes,
Sure, yeah.
our mistakes as we travel,
Yeah,
make
but
it a better experience for everyone.
Yeah, but also, like, don't be afraid to make your own mistakes because it's, one of the best things I heard from someone recently was, like, I was getting ready to do something. I can't remember what, but basically he said, like, okay, you're gonna fuck up, and that's okay. Just make
Yeah.
sure you bounce back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best advice to give is, like, not exactly saying, like, it'll be fine, it's gonna
Yeah.
go so smooth, everything's gonna be perfect. It's like, no. Unexpected
Yeah,
things are gonna happen.
It's definitely not going to be perfect traveling.
Yeah,
something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, you're gonna misunderstand something, you're gonna get lost or confused or whatever, and luckily we live in a day and age where, our phones are little computers and
Yeah.
the chances of getting properly lost are pretty low. And we've got Google Translate, we've got all sorts of things that
Yeah.
can help us have a smoother travel experience, but take the pressure off yourself to have it be a perfect traveling experience and just enjoy messing up
Yeah.
and laugh at yourself and just learn from it and move on, because then you'll get to be in a position where you can tell your younger sibling or your friend or whatever, like, here's this hilarious story of when I went to Hong Kong and I had a coat on, like, you can share these things. That's like, okay, here's a lesson for you.
Yeah, I think making mistakes is part of the fun of traveling too. I think
Yeah.
you end up having a lot of good experiences out of that. I think
Yeah.
like I think that helps you meet people in the
That
in the
was my
place that
next
you're
thought.
in.
Yeah.
Because you screw up, you're like, okay, I gotta ask someone for help to figure this out. And then,
Exactly.
again, most people are pretty friendly, so they're happy to help.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like asking for help. Most people, it's kind of an honor to be asked for
Yeah,
help. Like
yeah.
if you remember the last time someone asked you specifically for help, you weren't
Like, you want my
probably.
help? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
me. Oh, yes, I'd love to help you. Like most people. I mean, I'm sure there are some grouchy people out there who want to be left alone and fair play, but like if someone comes to me and is like, "Hey, which direction is, the Paisley Abbey?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, sure. It's just up this way. Turn a left or whatever." And it's like, it's such a, yeah, it's a privilege to help people. And
Yeah.
as humans, we're meant to be in connection with each other.
Mhm.
We're meant to be in relationship.
Yeah.
As great as phones are in helping our
Mhm.
independence, like I think we get a more authentic and wholesome travel experience when
Yeah.
we ask locals for help.
That's the other thing I would provide as advice. Put the phone down when you're traveling.
Yes.
I mean, go ahead, take your pictures. I mean, I take a lot of pictures too.
Uh-huh.
But take the picture and then put the phone down.
Put it away.
Enjoy the moment. Enjoy where you're at.
Yeah.
Don't experience it through your phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember actually in London when I went there a few years ago.
Was that when we met up in Heathrow?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I don't remember how that all worked, but
it was crazy.
I think it was before I had met up with you or something like that. But
Okay.
anyways, yeah, my phone actually died one of the nights I was there.
Mhm.
And so I kind of just wandered around the streets of London. I knew where I was going, back to my hotel, generally speaking.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact way, but it was fun just to kind of wander and see what was out there. I definitely got lost for a while.
Yes.
But it was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Met some cool people along the way, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also, that's. Sorry to go back to this, but that's also a very privileged thing to be able to do.
Oh, yes.
Because like me being I had a layover in LA for 24 hours or something. And I landed.
It's not a place you want to get lost for a while.
Yeah, I landed at night, and I had a friend there, but they weren't available for like another 4 hours or something. And so I was like, okay, well, so I was like, I want to go to the beach, so I took an Uber to Santa Monica, and that was fun, but I was definitely scared the whole time, because it was like, I'm carrying this huge backpack, and I'm all by myself, and it's nighttime, and it honestly probably wasn't the smartest decision, but, I had fun, saw the ocean, but the horrible thing was I really, really, really had to fucking pee, and I got to a point where I was like, my bladder is going to burst, and so, like, I'm frantically running through the streets of Santa Monica, looking for anywhere that's open, and, oh, God, a McDonald's, perfect, and I rush up, and it's like, bathrooms are closed for renovations,
no.
and I'm like, what the fuck? And so, I go down another street, and I see a cafe that's open, and I rush in, and I'm like, excuse me, I'm so sorry, can I please use your bathroom? I'm like, yeah, just need to buy something. I'm like, okay, I'll buy something. And, I pull out my credit card, or my card, and I didn't have any cash, because I had just come from Scotland, and the guy was like, we only take cash. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And luckily, there was someone in there who was like, it's okay, I'll buy it for you, and he, bought me a coffee, and I was like, thank you, and I went and used the toilet. But, that's just, yeah, that I feel I was very lucky, but, like, I was definitely really scared the whole time, and I was really wary of, like, this stranger who bought me a coffee. I sat down and drank it and had a conversation with him, and he was fine. He was friendly enough, but it was just, like, the whole time there's, like, these little bells ringing of, like, okay, make sure that you know what you're drinking, make sure that, like, you see everyone who's in the room, and, like, literally it was all men. It was, like, I felt so vulnerable and just kind of, like, I'm putting my trust in this stranger who bought me a coffee, and... So I would not recommend that to other young single women traveling, but it's at the same time, don't be afraid to go on an adventure. I think that's just be safe, be smart.
That's when some of the best memories are made.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely be smart though.
Yeah.
And there's some places that are to get lost it's a little bit better
Mhm.
versus other places.
Yeah.
I know when I was in Indonesia, I felt pretty safe, but I didn't feel safe enough to like go get lost on my own.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of have to read the room, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. Like,
Yeah.
know where you are. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Well, any other things you want to talk about?
I
mean, this was an
know.
awesome conversation.
Yeah, I've really
I don't even
enjoyed
think you
this.
even looked at this paper.
I
To be
know.
honest.
Just great. That's is there anything on here that's like
What's one place you haven't been to that you really want to go to, domestically, internationally?
okay. Ooh. Yikes. I mean, internationally, I do want to explore more of Ireland. I do want to see New Zealand. I think I'm really jealous that you got to go visit New Zealand. I think that would just be lovely. But everywhere though, really, like I'd love to go to Japan. I'd love to go to South Korea. Gosh, it's so hard to choose just
right?
one. It's awful.
They all sound good.
I know, they all sound amazing. My friend and I are really wanting to visit a South Asian country together. As far as domestically, gosh, I love the Pacific Northwest. It's, again, I'm biased, but I think it's the best part of the States.
Agreed.
I love our mountains. I love our trees. And I love the transition from the West Coast to the East side with its shrubs and sagebrush and all that. So I think in order to get a completely different experience of the States, I'd like to visit somewhere like the Grand Canyon and just really get to experience the beauty of the desert versus the beauty of the mountains, which I love so much. And so getting to go somewhere that's like has its own sort of barren beauty and its like rawness and its rockiness, like I don't know, I think that would be really, really cool to experience.
No, I've been to the Grand Canyon and
amazing.
It's amazing. It doesn't even look real.
No,
it's just you gotta go experience it for sure.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah,
definitely one of the, I would say the greatest wonders of the world right now. So
isn't it? Is it one of?
I don't know actually.
What are the
I don't remember.
of the
I
world?
like that. I feel like they change.
The pyramids.
The pyramids for sure. That'd be a really cool place. To go to.
Yeah. I think the Great Lakes.
Great Lakes.
Niagara Falls, maybe.
Probably. I don't know.
Oh God. Oh, this is terrible.
We're just making up things here.
I know. Ignorant Americans. Fuck. That is the thing. I'm just like, I want to be so much more learned than I am. But the problem is I learn things and then they just leave my brain and I'm like, I don't know. I'm dumb. No. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Kyle, this was so much fun. I really appreciate that you invited me.
A really great time. Definitely the best first episode of any podcast ever.
Oh,
so,
that's sweet. Well,
I appreciate you taking time to be here and appreciate everyone who listens to this. Hopefully, I can continue to do this and continue to learn from other great people about their travel experiences. And
you think I'm great?
Definitely.
You heard it here, folks. I'm great.
I'm just sucking it up so that you'll be good when you edit my book.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'll agree to do this again in a year's time.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
What is it? December 8th.
December 8th.
All right. Hopefully a year from now we'll be in Scotland doing this.
Yes, done. Well, do you know the Scottish word for cheers?
No, what is it?
Sláinte.
Sláinte.
So,
okay.
Sláinte.
Bye, everyone.